recording. Hold on. So test scenario, guys, will be same in manual and ETL. Only thing is the definition will be same, the process will be same, but how we write the test scenarios for ETL testing and how we write test scenario for manual testing, that will be different. So as soon as a test engineer gets the requirement, he starts preparing the test scenario. Okay. So now, guys, so to prepare what is a test scenario? First is what is a test scenario? Definition is same in manual and ETL. What is a test scenario? It is the all the possible ways of testing and application. It is all the possible ways of testing and application. Suppose someone met an accident. Okay. Now what will happen near to your house? So all the possible ways is what? He might have been hit by a truck, he might have been hit by a bike or a car, or he might have fall down. So all these are what? Possible ways he might have faced an accident. With respect to testing, it is what? All the possible ways of testing and application. Now, guys, as I've told you, the definition of test scenario for manual or ETL, it will be same. Only the way we will write the test scenarios, the way we will write the test cases, that will be different. First of all, what is a test scenario? It is a document. It is a document which consists of all the possible ways of testing and application. Fine. This is test scenario. Now, guys, it is written in where it is written. So next question comes, where test scenarios are written. So test scenarios are written in what, guys? MS Word document, or sometimes it is written in MS Excel. Okay, that is also fine. You tell it was written in MS Word document. And test scenarios, there are some rules to write a test scenario. So there are some characteristics to write a test scenario. So what are the rules or characteristics to write a test scenario? In simple, we will write what are the rules to write the test scenario. First thing is, test scenario should be simple. Okay, test scenario should be written. Test scenario should be simple and not more than 2 to 3 lines. Test scenario should be simple and it should not be more than 2 to 3 lines. You cannot write a 10-line test scenarios. No, it should be simple and should not be more than 2 to 3 lines. Next is, test scenario should be written end to end. Test scenario should be written end to end. So we should write always the test scenarios where end to end. Now end to end means what? Suppose an application is there. So end to end testing, when I will teach you system testing, that time I will explain with respect to manual testing. Here with respect to ETL testing, the complete end to end. If you are validating the count, then you have to write on complete end to end validation of the count from source to target. That is what is the end to end. Now, next is, when we write the test scenarios, as soon as we get the requirement, the test engineers will start writing the test scenarios. Now, what is a test scenario? Is it clear, everyone? Tell me yes or no. Yes. So it is a document which consists of all the possible ways of testing the application. Is it fine? Yes. Yes. So some people write it as it is a high level document. High level means what? Very detailed steps are not written in test scenario. So some people tell it as what? It is a high level document which consists of all the possible ways of testing and application. We write the test scenarios MS Word or MS Excel, and these are the rules. Test scenario should be simple and not more than 2 to 3 lines. Test scenario should be written end. Now we are going to write the test scenarios for ETL testing. To write the test scenario for ETL testing, we are going to write in Word document. Okay. How to write is very, very simple. Let us just see. First, we have to write the serial number, and then you have to write down the test scenarios. Simple template which most of the company follows, and you have to just write down what serial number and test scenario. Okay.
Sir, as a ETL tester, we will get this test scenario now. Test.
No. As an ETL tester, you have to write down the test scenarios as soon as you get the requirement. Okay. You can only get the template. Okay. But as of now, you just remember the template also, because in the interview they will tell, can you just tell me the test scenarios for the ETL testing between the source to target. So what are the scenarios you have written? So you have to write down. Okay. First, they will ask what is a test scenario. You have to tell that, and how we write a test scenarios, that you have to tell them. And then what are the rules to write the test scenarios? And this is the template, what you have to remember. The test scenario consists of do's and checks. So this is again a rule. Test scenario consists of what? Do's and checks. Test scenario consists of do's and checks. And so what we will do and what will be check. Check is also called as verify. So either we can write before the do part and then the check part, or we can write before the check part and or later the do part. Anyway is fine. Suppose I will write the check part first and then the do part. So what I will write is verify the source and target count between the source, and here you have to write down the table name of the source and target, and you have to write down the table name of the target. This is nothing but your verify source and target count between source and the target. This is first test scenario we have written. We'll verify the source and count, source and target count. But before this, we can also write one test scenario. Can you just think what before this I can write what? What test scenario? We can check the structure of the table. So what I can write? Verify the structure of the source and target as per the STM document. So, structure means what, guys? The data type and the length. Data type and the length. This is scenario one. This is first we will validate the structure, then we will validate the count. Next, we are going to validate what? We are going to validate the data. So verify the data between the source, and then you have to write down source entire thing. Source, what is the table name? Okay, name, and target, what is the table name? So this is again a very, very crucial test case. We have to verify the data between the source and the target. Now we have verified the structure, we have verified the count, and we have verified what? The data. Next thing we are going to verify is null or duplicate. Yeah, let us just verify the duplicate. Verify there is no duplicate in the primary key column. in the target. There should not be any duplicate in the primary key column in the target. Okay, this is one of the scenario. Next scenario can be what?
Checking for null.
Verify there is no null values for the
Primary key.
columns defined as not null. These are the 5 scenarios, the most important scenarios I have written. First, we'll verify the structure, then we'll verify the count and data, and then the duplicate and the null values. This is fine, guys, scenarios. This is done. Now,
You also mentioned your negative scenario.
Yeah, you can write as number as scenarios you want. I have written the first 5 scenario. You can write the negative scenario or any other particular loading of a particular business logic. If you want to specify that, also you can write down. But the main scenarios I have written. Okay. Now, after writing the test scenarios, the next thing we are going to learn is nothing but your test case. Okay. Next thing is what? Test case. So test engineer will write the test scenarios, then he will write what? Test cases. So what is a test case? So test case, it is an in detail, step by step process to test the application. It consists of all the possible inputs and navigation steps. So what happened is test case, guys, it is an in detail, that was a high level document. It is an in detail document which consists of a step-by-step process to test an application. Okay. It consists of all possible inputs and navigation steps. Means all the steps and all will be written in a detailed way. So that is what it is called as a test case. So when we write a test case, guys, as soon as we get the requirement, the test engineer starts writing the test cases. As soon as we get the requirement, the test engineer starts writing the test cases. Fine. Next. Now, why we write down the test cases, guys? Why we write down the test cases? Or why test cases are written? Can you think why we will write down the test case? Without writing the test case, also we can do the testing. So what is the requirement to write the test case? Can you just think? Why we write down the test case? Because to have maximum test coverage, first of all, to have maximum test coverage. Test coverage means what? All possible positive and negative inputs. Okay. To have all possible or to have maximum test coverage means all positive and negative inputs. Then what can be the other reason to write the test case? To have test consistency. So this will be a consistency maintained. Okay, whoever is testing this application, there will be a consistency maintained because of this test cover, because of this test case. Okay, the next is what? Every time a new test engineer will not have to think the values and he can start testing using the test cases. So every time a new test engineer recruited will not have to think the value. He can just see the test case and start testing the application. Okay. Testing is more testing. Okay. Testing depends on process rather than person. The testing will depend on what? Process rather than person. So first, next is what? Testing depend on process rather than person. It will depend on the process. Everyone will follow the test case and they can start testing the application, and it will not depend on the capability and capacity of any test engineer. But testing depends on process rather than person. So these are the reasons why we write down the test cases, okay? To have maximum test coverage, and then to have test consistency everywhere, the same testing will be done. And then a new test engineer need not have to think the new values again and again. He can start testing by seeing the test cases. Testing depends on process rather than person. So these are the reasons why we write the test cases. So now we are going to write the test case. The test cases where it is written. So test cases are written in Excel sheet document. Let us just see how to write the test cases. So first thing is step number. Then action description. Then inputs or test data. Then expected result. Then is actual result. Then is comments. Some people also write here SQL query, so that is also fine. So step number 1. So action description, and some people write down that test description. So this is also, you can write test description in one line or one word. What is this test written? Suppose this is what? Count validation. So what is the action description? Login to the source database. Okay. Check the count of the source. Then, so a particular test case can have multiple test steps also. Okay. So these are the test steps we are writing. So we are writing the test case, okay, which is having multiple test steps. Logging to the source database, check the count of the source. Okay. Next. Login to the target database, check the count of the target. Some people write this separate steps. That is also correct, but this is more precise, right? In everything I am writing in one, so everyone can just see at once and can just come to know. Everyone, some people write this count of the source in one step and count of target in one step and comparing in another step. We will not write that. We will write everything neatly in one, so that you don't have to go and see everything in a different step. Log into the source database, check the count of the source. Log into the target database, check the count of the target. And last step is what here? Compare the source and what? Target count. So test data, it is not applicable. Any data which is required to test that particular application, then we write that test data. This is not required, okay? Then there is something called as SQL query. So what will be the query? Select count of
source
star from what?
from
Source.
source
Okay. This is one query, and the another query will be what? Select
count
star
from target.
and we will compare this. Okay, this is fine. Expected result will be what? Source and target count should what?
Match.
Next is test description, data validation. What we will write here, guys? Suppose login to the database. Suppose source and target is the same database. Okay, login to the database. Okay, and compare the data between source and target. See, this is when the source and target is database tables. If it is Excel, you have to write down separately. Take the data of the source. Source data is in Excel sheet. Log into the target database. Export the data into an Excel sheet. Okay, and then compare the data. This we are taking the condition when source is also a database. Target is also a database. Okay. Now what we'll have to write here, guys? This is also not applicable. Now what we have to write, guys, here? Select column 1, comma column 2 up to column n from which table? Source
table.
minus select column 1, comma column 2, comma column n from target. Now what should happen, guys, after this? What will happen after this? Expected result will be what? Data should match. Okay. This is fine. This is data validation. Next is duplicate validation. So duplicate validation, what we can do, guys? We can write one. Check the source and target structure using STM document and compare the structure. So this is test data is not applicable, and here what we have to do is no SQL queries not applicable. Check no. Sorry, we are going to compare the duplicate. Okay, the duplicate how will take? Check there is no duplicate found in what?
Target.
In the column defined as unique, unique or primary key in the as primary key in the target. Fine. This is not applicable. Here will be what? Query will be what? Select
Employee number.
column numbers, whatever column is there, then count of
that
star from target table, then group by column having what? Count of star greater than 1. And what is the expected result? No records found. And there's one more test case, in the beginning, we did not wrote. Do you know what is that? Verification of the structure. Structure validation. So what we have to do? Yeah. Check the structure of source and target. Okay. With the help of what? STM document. Do you remember source to target mapping document?
Yes.
Check the source structure of source and target with the help of STM document and compare the same. Okay. Now we'll compare the same. After that, Test data is not applicable any places. Now what will happen, guys? Here what will happen? We will go to what? We'll go to the structure validation. What we will do is, guys, source side, what will be the query? DESC table name. Okay. So this is the source structure we can see. And target, how we can see? Target query will be what? DESC target table. Table name. And you know, guys, what is the test data? Suppose I want to go to the source and the particular database. So I have to give what? Database credentials. Do you know what is credentials? The username and the password. Suppose the username, credentials means what, guys? Database, username and password of what? Source. And username and password of what?
Target.
Target. This is what is the test data. Minimum set of data to proceed with the testing. This should be given. Okay, this will be everywhere because we are using the databases. This is fine. And if I have to check any null, what I can write is what? Null validation. And what I can write? Check the null column defined as not null in the target. What will happen, guys? Database will be same and the query will be what?
No, select star
Star
from target,
from target.
where INC is null.
Target where what? Where that particular column is null.
Is null.
And output should be what? No records found. And after, you know, guys, after these test cases are written, we will do, this is part A of the test case. Okay. This is part A of the test case. Let me just move it here. This is part A of the test case. Once the test cases are written, then what will happen, guys? And next is what? We will do the actual testing. This is part A of the testing. These test cases are written. Now I will go to the next section. That is nothing but your actual result and comments. Now I will go to the actual result and comments. Let me make it another color. So actual result means what, guys? Here the expectation is what? Structure between source and target must match. This is what the expectation. Now, what is the actual result? If it is matching, what we will write, guys? We can write full. Full what? Yes. Structure is matching between source and target. Okay. Fine. Here what we can write? Count is matching between what? Source and target. Some people write, you know, they will not write all these things. Just they will write what? Suppose I have to validate the data and data is matching. So what they will write, you know, they will just write as expected. That is also correct. Some people will write yes. That is also correct. Or we can write what? Full. Data is matching between source and target. So anyway you can use. Next is what? Duplicate validation. So you will write what? No duplicate get found. And then here what you have to write, guys? Null validation. What you have to write? No null found. This is what is the actual result. And then you have to write down the status. What you have to write? This is what? Pass. This is what? Pass. Everything is passed. And if any comments are required, we can just write down. And if it is not required, we will not write down. This is what is the. So overall, the test case is passed. Okay. And suppose there was a count mismatch, then we would have written here what? Count is not matching, and we would have made it as failed. Yes or no? Yes. This is what is the actual test case. This is called the body of the test case. This is the actual test case. There is some of the header and footer of the test case, and that I will discuss when I'll teach you manual testing. So there is something called as header, or let us just complete it. Header is the, here we'll write, you know what, test case name or ID. What is the test case name or ID? We can take any name or ID. Suppose I'm writing the test case. So I can just take a name, suppose cheetah, test case, some name I can give, test case, anything I can give, version 1.0. Test case or test case name or ID. And then I can write what? Test case type. What is the test case type if we have written? So this is what the system or integration testing. We are writing what? The end-to-end flow we are checking. We are writing what? Integration test case. Then what you have to write down, guys? Test case type, then test data. So test data minimum set of data, that is DB credentials. Nothing but your username and password of the database. Then comes, guys, is what? Test status of the test case. This is very important. See, all these steps in the test case are pass. So overall status of the test case will be what? Pass. This is written in the last. So overall status of the test case is what, guys? It is pass. Now, then comes the particular requirement number or name. Requirement name or number. So suppose this is requirement 1 and module name or number. So what is the module you are writing? So suppose this is a particular module. So M01, I've written module name or number. Okay. Then some people write the severity of the test case. How much important is this test case? It's very, very important. So I've written what? Critical. Now, some people lastly we write the description of the test case. What is the description of this test case? Why this test case is written? So this test case is written to test the data flow between the source and the target. And here you can mention the table name. Table name. Source and the target. Then what is the next step, guys? This is the header of the test case. This is fine. Next, last and the final thing is what? Footer of the test case. Footer of the test case means what? Who has written this test case? This test case is written by whom? So that is called as author, the person who has written the test case. Suppose I have written the test case. Vikram has written the test case. This is fine. Reviewer, the person who has reviewed the test case. So who is the reviewer? Suppose Divya is the reviewer. So Divya name will be written. Approver, one who has approved this test case. So who has approved? Suppose Shreya has approved this test case. She is the team lead, she has approved. And next is what? Date. Date at which the test case is written. Suppose it is written in 11th March 2022. So this is the particular date at which the test case is written. This is your complete test case. Header and footer and body. But the actual test case is what? The body of the test case. Actual test case is what? The body of the test case. So whenever someone will give you the test case, you just write down the header also, footer also, and then you write down what? The body also. Are you able to understand? Header, footer is fine, but main thing is what? The body. So you write all these three. Can you write the test cases for ETL testing? You just write down this entire test case. Test scenario also I told you, test cases also I tell you. I'm sharing you this, and you should remember each and every content of this particular test cases and test scenarios to proceed with the testing. Okay. Yes, guys. So now the thing is, let me just